Yeah.
Hola, senores y señoras. Me llamo es Eric y mi novia es Rachel.
Hola.
Bienvenidos a Talking with Famosos de People. Welcome to Talking with Famous People, because today we're discussing an important topic: history's dead eyes. The dead eyes of history. I was thinking about that expression last night at some point because I was reflecting on things that never come to fruition. Certain things don't come to fruition, you know. You start things that don't end up panning out, whatever. And I sort of imagined those projects all having glossed over dead person eyeballs in them, you know.
That's a good association.
History's dead eyes. Remember that episode of Family Guy? I don't. What's it about? Is it about history's dead eyes? Hi, B. Shahinov, and hi, Email Anthrax.
Hey, guys.
Ooh la.
Ooh, Landy.
Oh, la, big whale cotton. Oh, la, big whale, hey. Oh, big whale cotton. Oh, la, big whale, hey.
That is so funny. That's how, like, the jerk ends.
Oh, lo, big whale cotton. Oh, lo, big whale, hey. Oh, lo, big whale cotton. Oh, lo, big whale, hey. I want to start off your afternoon today with a Negro spiritual. Everybody enjoys, hopefully. Let's have a racist around here. If you aren't a racist, then you love a good Negro spiritual. If you don't love a good Negro spiritual, you're obviously an extreme, virulent racist.
Does it help with dead eyes?
It does. It livens up the deadest eyes. A Negro spiritual has that power to liven up the deadest eyes. You're working again. On what? Your prostate? You need to share that with us. Oh, yes, you do, Email Anthrax. Oh, yes, you do. If you want, I can sing you a Native American spiritual instead. It's a very famous Native American spiritual. It means the earth is our land and we are its people.
I have a question. If you were to do stand-up, would you have your bong be part of your stand-up?
I mean, if the stand-up club would allow me to pull bongers on stage, I certainly would be happy to do that. It'd be a nice way to pause to gather my thoughts or something.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people use beer or water, so you could have that argument.
Peter.
I already fed him.
Oh, really? What'd you give him?
Yeah, I gave him Pee-Pee's cat food.
Okay, well, he's fine. That's about what I was going to do. Thanks, Morridge.
Hey, Morris.
If you don't love Negro spirituals, Email Anthrax, you have a big sticker in your forehead that says, I'm a racist. Okay? Now we're going to find out if you're a misogynist, okay? I'm going to sing a feminist song. I am a woman with a uterus inside me. Oh, hallelujah is my menstrual cycle, yeah.
I also want to say that I feel like any other Indigo Girls song could be replaced also for one of those songs.
Interestingly, I think you could also stick Tracy Chapman in there.
Yeah, absolutely, Tracy Chapman.
I don't know NASCAR.
Yeah. I don't want to get away.
You found a gear? Which gear was it? Would you like to hear some native Japanese music?
See, this is why the world is so serious now, because we try to censor that stuff. So, my dad used to work at an Oppenheimer and Co., and they're a big accounting firm.
Uh-huh.
They have a lot of people from different countries that work there, and my dad was working with someone whose ancestry was from China, like his parents are from China. And my dad...
They prefer to be called
Chinamen.
Go ahead.
And this Chinaman, my dad, being any Dom, was like, let's shake things up. You listen to some of your music. And all Chinese music is now, like pop music, is like so sad. It's like, dong, 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 dong. Like longing for the love of their life.
Hi, Kanki and Krishna Sarmpagu. Would you like to hear some Indian music now? I'm from India. I wish I had a sitar to play, but it's basically just.
It's too, right? Can we just go all out? There's usually like.
Yeah.
They only use two.
They like this.
Two in the hands.
Oh, y'all, give me my curry. Oh, y'all, give me my curry.
Oh, holy Krishna.
That's what it is to sing in India. That's what it's all about. I could also sing you a Mexican spiritual. Boom, 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 boom. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, mi corazón es muy la, 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 la. Anthrax, what do you consider a real man? Is it the kind with a penis between their legs? KKSP, I don't identify as misogynistic or feminist. I identify as someone seeking truth. Right, but now I've identified you as a racist, email Anthrax, because you didn't like my Negro spiritual. A Middle Eastern spiritual. I mean, that one is that song they sang on top of the roof. They go, oh, everyone goes, did you hear that?
It's time to pray.
Time to do some Muslim stuff. Let's go get Muslim on this shit. I'm bringing the real hardcore Islam today, dog. Now that I heard that song, that prayer calling song. Irish spiritual. You know, the classically Irish song I think about is actually a real song, and it's by the Pogues. They've got cars big as bars, they've got rivers of gold, with the wind blows right through you, no place for the old. And then I'm not gonna a corner and Broadway was waiting for me. You were handsome, you're pretty, queen of New York City. And down through the night, the wire was swaying. Boys of the NYPD choir still singing Galway Bay, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. That's the best Christmas song no one's ever heard of.
I need a chicken sandwich. Do you want the rest?
Oh, these chickens?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Thanks.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Convenient. Very convenient. Thanks. Here's some cold chicken.
Oh, cool.
We can eat. We're so inclined. I believe it's called Lullaby of New York City, maybe.
Oh, that's nice. I actually really like that one.
Yeah, it's a great song. If you're trying to be a good man, even your flaws will be forgiven. It seems like rather a low standard to attain, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's not adequate that you be well intentioned. You have to actually, be responsible. That is to say, don't do what I would call criminally negligent policy advocacy, such as let's shut down the world for COVID. That's criminally negligent policy advocacy. You have a responsibility if you're going to advocate policy at all to think it through and be aware of how to justify things and to, if you're going to argue that we should do COVID for utilitarian reasons, then you need to calculate all the impacts, not just like the ones you want to look at. I'm certain there are people who can point out your character flaws. Hi, Nicole Powers. I'll point out some character flaws for you. You're super anal retentive. You're also chronically late. You leave your pants on the floor in the bathroom. And also, you pick up my pants on the floor of the bathroom. There are 4 different character flaws.
Fuck Ash.
Just because I know I have dark side, it's not a valid reason to live through my dark side. Well, that's a good point, Rafael Alvarez. That's what I have to say to that. Actually, that was mostly for Nicole Powers, but somewhat for you too, Rafael. Eric, I'd have to confirm your assessment of those, but you had some points about it. If you're right, so be it, but I want to be more definitive. My assessment of what? Of you? I mean, my typing of you? I don't care if you agree with it or not. I mean, you may confirm it all you want. Go ahead and confirm. I mean, look, I don't. What I know I don't want to do is argue with you about it. That's for sure. I don't want to do that. I mean, the thing is, Ethan, it's not true. Even according to type descriptions, you play out as an ISTJ. I'm not talking about your what you do with your time. That's not a good thing for anything at all, Flaw of type is character flaw, right? My biggest character flaw is that I have FI polar. I mean, it's true that one's character flaws tend to probably cluster around one's either excessively strong or excessively weak functions.
Yeah. I think this environment, the environment that you and your dad have afforded me, really brings out a lot more of my positive NI, because I know for a fact that I was absolutely suppressing it when I was living at home, because I had a lot of people telling me how, like, kind of like your song, like how to live my life, so I really wasn't that in tune with my instincts to a greater extent, and I think I do here. I do.
Well, what I'm learning as you're being here longer as well is that I don't need to fuss over you. That you're perfectly content getting up whenever you get up and coming out here, and it's like I don't need to stress either. I think we're both getting used to the idea that we don't need to stress, because I'm very accustomed to having to stress about making stuff in particular. Grilled cheese sandwiches is where it's at. Don't you mean grilled cheese sandwiches are where they're at? You would have to. If what? Why are you using the conditional form, Ethan McDonald? Why the apostrophe D?
Also, what does GG stand for?
Good game?
Good girl?
No, good game.
Oh, good game.
Yeah.
Oh, and like
any gamer thing, you push GG, it's good game. Like you play football, at the end of it, when you're in the chat, both people go GG.
Oh, I had no idea. See, I learn something new every day.
I like to peacock, contrary traits to the point of physical ability. Like, I feel so puffed up when I drive big vehicles. Does that indicate anything type-wise? Well, one thing that I think is a weak correlate, I've just seen this in so many different people, is SE does not necessarily correlate with sports particularly. Like, Delilah's an SE dom. She's not very good at sports particularly.
We have found out though she's gonna be kick-ass at roller skating.
Yeah, but I mean, she was never into sports, you know?
Right, yeah, she doesn't seem to. Like volleyball, she said she likes, but that's still a very leisurely. I mean, not that.
The thing is, any ESTP or ESFP or SE tool function user like ISTP or ISFP, they are also not necessarily going to be playing basketball all the time or something like that. It's just, the fact is, SE manifests more in the modern world as following through on a decision, or pulling the trigger, executing a decision, seeing it through to fruition.
Yeah.
If you have SE Dom, that means you're going to have shorter follow throughs, and if you are SE Tool, you're going to have a little bit longer follow throughs. Lazy thinking KKSP, how society doesn't measure all aspects of possible issues that could happen. How are they willing to cause other problems so they can feel better about themselves? I don't know what that's in response to specifically. Are you busting KKSP's chops? Take that, KKSP. Now you learned something. BDW. What makes you disturbed about current scenarios? Anthrax. I'm interested.
KKSP.
Big dog wiener? Is that BDW? Or did you mean to put a T there? You meant to put a T. Curiosity, adventurism, and experiments will go along with it anyway. Will go along with what? I think that, so Anthrax said that thing about society doesn't matter all aspects of possible issues. KKSP, I think about that too, a lot of Anthrax, but I feel society is experimental in general, even if they know something may not go well, but for the sake of, I will cause problems to feel good about myself. Don't you? No, I don't cause problems to feel good about myself.
Who does?
I'm not sure. It seems like that's what Raphael is saying here, but he had a question mark after it. Can you explain why I'm not any polar? I mean, I have my own reasoning, just still lingering in my mind. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think you're. I mean, it was a while ago at this point. If I remember correctly, you're ISTJ, but you were
talking a lot.
ISFP is not out of the question.
Yeah, it's not.
ISFP, but I think your TI. It's not that I think you're not any polar. It's that I think your TI is a little too good for ISFP. I could be wrong.
Good.
But how don't you cause problems by existing in life? I mean, I don't view them. What is your example? Let me see what your example is. If I take a job, then another person might be miserable at not having that job. Okay, but that's only for zero-sum things. Most things in life aren't zero-sum. In other words, for me to get something in general in life doesn't require somebody else to lose something. Now, it is true that if I'm purchasing a product, then and it's a physical object, then their shelf loses one of its physical objects and they get some of my money in exchange. But a lot of things in life are not zero-sum at all. So, for example, when I love Rachel, that doesn't mean she has to hate me the equivalent amount to make it zero again. Lots of things in life aren't zero-sum.
I have a song stuck in my head right now.
Me too, actually. Okay, but again, Raphael, there's not just single-use resources out there, okay? All of our resources do not comprise a totality of use once and then throw away stuff. So it's not true that that everything's zero-sum. Entropy is not an answer to, it's not true that everything's zero sum. Can you make the argument that there's some sort of opportunity cost for everything? Sure. But that's non-unique, right? So it's not an argument for that. Okay, so there you go. You're SCJ. Ethan McDonald.
Aww.
My nature is to cause problems so that we all end up on a fair and even playing field. That does make me feel good about myself when I perform on that aspect. So what you mean is you cause problems when you are faced with injustice and have an opportunity to take a stand on it of some sort, or be like, hey, that's unjust.
I do that.
Yeah, I do that too. And I like to do that. When in fact somebody is being not okay in my book for whatever reason, I like to call them out on it. It doesn't happen very often. I'm not going out looking for people to whose chops to bust. But if somebody is being a douche in public, then I'm probably going to step up to them and say something.
Yeah. See something, say something.
Well, you remember the instance in Berkeley, right, with the guy at the Foster's Freeze?
Oh, yeah.
Who wouldn't go away and was trying to make trouble with the owner of the place, and I talked to the guy and he went away.
Yeah, it's like, she asked you to leave.
Yeah.
You should probably leave.
And of course, I get to feel the beautiful feeling of don't forget, Eric, you're the other half of the equation too. I pulled that same sort of shit at 7-Eleven, so it's like it's not like I'm always correcting other people. I mean, sometimes I'm the problem.
Yes. Yeah. That's so funny.
SI is being self-aware without the emotional reaction. It's very TI. SI is knowing your own experience and using that to understand the world. If you're an SI,
isn't that so nice? Like, I find that to be so nice. I had more of that power in me.
Yeah,
but I'm happy being an INFJ.
And the advantage of having a high SI is when something's important to you, you keep good track of it. So, I mean, what I mean by important is like I have to remind myself a lot of times, and then I'll even like remember for a couple months and I go, like, for example, if there's a drug that I've tried that I don't really like, I typically won't do it again. But after a couple months, I will do it again because I'll forget that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Or like snorting Adderall. I haven't done it in quite a long time now, but maybe, I don't know how long. Probably 6 months, 7 months or something since I've done that. But
that makes sense.
But I every time I do it, I go, I hate this. Why am I doing this? And then sooner or later again, I go, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
And then I remember and I go, 6 months later, I'll do this again.
Yeah, me too.
That's weak SI. I'm not internalizing on a meow level. So why snorting, Eric? Why not eating? Bypasses the digestive process, just goes straight to the mucous membrane, and which allows it to pass the, I guess, blood-brain barrier or something. You could also boof them.
Boofing means putting it up your butt, right?
Yeah. Well, Raphael, obviously your nose is not. I mean, it's not like the reason we have noses is so that we can snort stuff. But the human body is very resilient, tough. I take a lot of abuse.
Yeah, it does.
I snorted all kinds of shit in my day. You know? If you put a big pile of everything I've snorted in front of you, you'd have a hell of a pile of drugs. Let me tell you. I could go for that pile right now. Somebody give me a pile of everything I've ever snorted.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but it's not something you want to do all the time for sure. It is the case that your nasal membrane will break down, wear out if you snort a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I never did actually snort stuff regularly. It's like I would snort meth occasionally when I was doing meth a long time ago, but mostly I'd smoke it. And obviously, anytime I do coke, you snort coke. But I've only probably done coke like 6 times in my whole life, maybe.
Cool. I've only done it once, and it was like a kind of. I woke up the next day. It was such a bad headache. I was like, "Why do people enjoy this feeling?" Like I couldn't function. The headache was so bad, and everything was like stuck right in here. You know, like. Because I was snorting it. Oh, that was one and done.
It's like almost impossible to get good, clean cocaine.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
When you do, though, it's like super chunky when you get super chunky stuff. You know.
Well, I don't know what the fuck.
I mean, I've never had a coke dealer. You know, I've never pursued it myself per se. Mm-hmm. But somebody else would recommend, you know, hey, let's get some coke or whatever. But
yeah, it was Frank James.
It's definitely not amphetamines. Amphetamines are way better.
Yeah, like the half really didn't do much to me when I took it.
You seem to not be particularly responsive to it, which makes sense because people typically have either a serotonin thing or a dopamine thing, and not both.
That sounds like not cool. I didn't like it. During? I didn't really like it either. I was like, I guess I felt more manic for sure. I was like listening to a lot of music and stuff. I'm 7, Lero A. I'm an Enneagram 7. Hey, out yourself.
I mean, people typically like either uppers or downers, basically. Serotonin stuff is, whether or not it's a downer itself, it's typically people who like to take downers will often have serotonin management issues. And people that take uppers have dopamine management issues. So ADHD is, in fact, a dopamine management issue. So is addiction. That's the best definition of addiction I've ever heard, is a dopamine management problem.
Running foxes down reminds me of this. Apparently in Australia they have a drink, and it's like, how many times is this person going to drink? And you put the drink to your mouth and you go down. Like the people in the crowd yell down as you chug it. Those Australians, crazy Australians. That's their drinking game. There's a song with it that I can't remember the lyrics, but
bunch of drunks in Australia.
Yeah, they like their drinking.
What are ISTPs like? You're not an ISTP. If you happen to catch a little bit of the live stream where I did 3 typings that got taken down because it had minors in it, the last girl I typed there, she was an ISTP, and she was laser fast and so good at the TI, just boom, 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 boom. But nothing when it came to ideating. And the typical ISTP kind of like resistance towards trying things.
Chug chug that booze, shake shake that ass.
Zaylen Black says, "Hi, I never heard that, Eric. I have severe energy issues. Adderall, Vyvanse keep me awake in the middle of the I mean, the thing is,
Excuse me.
Adderall and Vyvanse and stuff, they don't give you energy or even keep you awake. They make you have a lot of dopamine, which means you have enthusiasm for things. And if you take enough amphetamines, then you have such enthusiasm for things that you can get thwacked out on it, like for freaking hours and hours and hours. Even if it's not something that deserves your enthusiasm necessarily. That's the challenge of managing it.
That's interesting. I had no idea.
I also wouldn't recommend ecstasy, Raphael. I've taken it. I have taken it before, but and it is as advertised. It makes you feel like an angel to get good, strong ecstasy, but it's a little bit of a hardcore drug,
I say so. I mean, it puts holes in people's brains. So.
I mean, I twitched after I took it when I came down and stuff. Is any blind spot a handicap in actually seeing opportunities in life? No, it doesn't. It doesn't play out as seeing opportunities. When people talk about potentialities or potentials or whatever, possibilities, it's not like that. It's not that you see a bunch of opportunities that other people don't see. It's that you turn everything into a meaning-making opportunity. So I probably won't jump at any opportunity, but I might make an essay about how I didn't capitalize on an opportunity,
Eric, others are inspired by your courage.
Glad to hear it. Zaylen Black says, I hate downers, don't see any benefit from it.
Ooh, let me give her.
They make you go to sleep?
Share your good news with others, Zaylen Black.
Share your good news.
That's your
guys.
Panda Express.
That is our motto today. Share your good news with others. Share it. Okay? KK Krishna Sarmpi, do you have some good news to share today? I bet you do. Go ahead. Share away. Running Fox. What's your good news? Each of us has inside of us a wellspring of good news.
The big dream, you wish. You wish I was an ESFJ. Because then probably we'd be more in common.
Big dream? Listen, hey. I'm the only ESFJ here.
Exactly.
Okay? I don't mean to be rude. I hope that makes sense. Does that make any sense? ESFJs.
Yeah. Does that make any sense?
Me neither, Fox. I did 2 lines of heroin once. I sat at the bar as if I was a zombie. Does that make any sense?
Does that make any sense?
Yeah. That question doesn't, though. Grilled cheese sandwiches exist. Okay, ask yourself, how do you know they exist? What's your rationale for their existence?
What do you mean you have a theme and you're committed?
His theme is grilled cheese sandwiches. It means he's gonna keep hammering the grilled cheese sandwich theme throughout. He's committed to it.
I'm happy for you.
It's sort of like live stream performance art. Taylor had an ISTP on the other night, and he couldn't answer a question I had about his interest because it was too ambiguous for him. That sounds like an ISTP.
Yo, what up, overclocker? Don't work too much.
My good news is that I got the truck titled to me yesterday. Ford 350, F350 Love, a diesel and a beast with the AC Works. Congratulations. I took to Lydon one time, and I felt so happy I felt too happy. The next one, shit on weed, and I felt like doctor was counting down from 10 to sedate me. I stopped at 3 for 6 hours or so. I just consumed one. It was that big. This big? That's a big grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh my goodness.
That's a big one.
I don't want to think about that.
I'm assuming you used very, very thin bread and very, very thin layer of cheese.
For some reason,
glad.
people gorging on like food like
Big Dream, listen. You don't get to accept joy, okay? Accepting joy is for losers.
You
What we
have to
do,
choose it.
we choose joy.
Exactly.
Okay. Don't accept, don't expect, choose.
See, ESFJ. That's the ESFJ. Oh, you're so cute. I love your outfit.
Does that make any sense?
stop.
Can fifth or sixth slot TI test as well as second, but not first? No, it wouldn't test as well as second either. It's like third. Oh, fifth might. Fifth might. But probably not. But it might.
What am I?
Who would win in a physical fight? ESFJ or ENFJ? I'm assuming they're the same age, gender, and weight class, right? I'm going to say ENFJ because they're going to be able to ignore their physical state of being.
True. And they're going to come out. I think the ESFJ is going to start off because they're exercisers. Like they'll prepare. Like J-Lo is an ESFJ and she's a dancer, so she like preps at the gym. But I think they'll be so like the ENFJ, like someone will click and then done. It's over.
I think the fight starts with ESFJ going, "Oh my gosh, it is so good to see you," and ENFJ going, "I'm here because I want to be." And then they shake hands and they hug and they chit chat back and forth. That's so wonderful.
They like each other's outfits.
Anyway, I guess we got a fight here. I guess we're having a fight. Yeah.
Yep.
We are. I don't remember why I signed up for it. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't, says the ENFJ. And then he punches him right in the face.
That's like
Abraham.
against the rules.
Abraham's an ESFJ. He doesn't come to the live stream very often. But
No.
who would win in a physical fight? ISFJ or INFJ? ISFJ.
Probably. They're
Yeah.
more physical than
Yeah.
INFJ.
They're more rough and tumble. INFJs are like okay, that's enough physical world.
The thing is though, like the more I get punched, so this is fucking crazy. The more I get beat on, the more I say like I don't want to fucking do this. Or maybe I would just walk out and be like, "You're an asshole. Bye." Like, how you feel about that now? I'll do anything to make like the other person who I'm like fighting against look at their worst. So maybe they would win, but I would definitely bring their morale down.
I mean, the thing is, with an ISFJ and INFJ fight, it's hard to imagine when that goes physical, because both types are going to be making snarky remarks left and right, snarky left cross, snarky jab, and they'll be yabbering at each other, not really fighting with their fists, probably.
I don't know. I think it would get I think it would get physical. I do think ISFJ would go first with physical.
Right.
But then I'll remember sweep the leg and then it's on.
Yeah. Sweep the leg is pretty critical advice for
Mm-hmm.
it applies to almost any situation. When in doubt, sweep the leg.
And uppercut. My ISFJ grandma used to always tell me, if you gotta fight him, uppercut him.
Don't forget about body blow, body blow, body blow, body blow.
Yep, so ISFJ would definitely fight an INFJ first. It's definitely more natural to them to go physical. Let's get physical. Oh shit, fuck her.
It's fine.
Like, I don't know what I get.
No, that's fine. Look, the worst thing that happens if we sing the songs is it says a cover was detected.
Oh.
We're sharing that revenue, and it actually gives gives me the chance to, if I want to, chop out the offending section. So
Perfect.
it's fine, no big deal.
Okay.
Ain't no striz in the biz ass.
Thanks, Bay.
Would you guys like to hear my current incarnation of this song that I've been working on? I'm gonna play it for you. 30,000 days, too many expectations, not even worth a damn. 30,000 nights to sleep off the intoxication, otherwise you won't escape the plan. I wasted half my days trying on another's way, but who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody who knows the key? Because I'm tired of doing it wrong. Want direction and have all along. Wait until I know. Or is that just hesitation? Clarity's no good once your chance is gone. What I need to show is it so below my station. I'm tired of doing it wrong. I've wasted half my days trying on others' ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody who knows the key? Because I think I'm doing this wrong. Do you think doing this wrong? I'm doing this wrong. Okay. You coming past me? I think. So anyhow, that's got a little bit of work left on it to go on it, but not a whole lot. It's been a pretty quick recording process, in part because it's a written song. Those kind of recording processes tend to go a little bit faster since I know where I'm going when I start, as opposed to if I'm just tracking. What I think about Marx, is that your question, Raphael? Ronnie Fox, I told you he's an INFJ. I also read about Karl Marx. He's an INFJ too. I think Karl Marx might be an INTJ. Possibly even an ENTJ or an ENFJ, because he was famous for his incredibly shitty SI. If you research it a bit.
Really?
Yeah. Like he was lost in his meanings, so much so that he just, well, let me Google it and let me read about it. Karl Marx messy house. When Karl Marx died in 1883, only a dozen people attended his funeral, including family members. After studying for a time in Bonn, he transferred to the University of Berlin to work on a doctoral degree in philosophy, but he was generally a lazy and good-for-nothing student. The money that his father sent to him for tuition at the university was spent on food and drink, and many of his nights spent at coffee houses and taverns getting drunk and arguing about Hegelian philosophy with their students. He finally acquired his doctoral degree by submitting his dissertation to the University of Jena in Eastern Germany. Marx's only real jobs during his lifetime were occasional reporters for or editors of newspapers and journals, most of which were usually closed in a short period of time, either because of small readership and limited financial support or political censorship by the government. Though Marx was middle class and Victorian in many of his everyday cultural attitudes, this did not stop him from breaking his marriage vows and committing adultery enough times with a family maid that she bore him an illegitimate son, and this under the same roof with his wife and his legitimate children, of which he had 7, with only 3 living to full adulthood. But he would not allow his illegitimate child to visit their mother in his London house whenever he was at home, and the boy could only enter the house through the kitchen door in the back of the house. In addition, he had his friend, longtime financial benefactor, and intellectual collaborator Frederick Engels claim parentage of the child to avoid embarrassment. In all his researches into the iniquities of British capitalism, he came across many instances of low-paid workers, but he never succeeded in unearthing one who was paid literally no wages at all. Yet such a worker did exist in his own household. This was Helen DeMuth, the lifelong family maid. She got her keep, but was paid nothing. She was a ferociously hard worker, not only cleaning and scrubbing, but managing the family budget. Marx never paid her a penny. In temperament, Marx was cruel and authoritarian. He had no hesitation about being a hypocrite. So, countervalue TI. I think we're looking at INTJ. He was also both a anti-Semite and a racist.
Oh my goodness.
If I were to read what he wrote to somebody, what he wrote about German socialist Ferdinand Lassalle, I would get banned from YouTube. A filthy home and a personality to match. Many found Marx's personal appearance and manner off-putting or even revolting. In 1850, a spy for the Prussian police visited Marx's homes in London under the pretense of German revolutionary. The report the spy wrote was shared with the British ambassador in Berlin. The report said in part, Marx leads the existence of a bohemian intellectual, washing, grooming, and changing his linen are things he rarely does, and is often drunk, though he's frequently idle for days on end. He will work day and night with tireless endurance when he has much work to do. He has no fixed time for going to sleep or waking up. He often stays up all night and then lies down fully clothed on the sofa at midday and sleeps till evening, untroubled by the whole world coming or going through his room. There's not one clean and solid piece of furniture. Everything is broken, tattered, torn, with half an inch of dust over everything, and the greatest disorder everywhere. When you enter Marx's room, smoke and tobacco fumes make your eye water. Everything is dirty and covered with dust, so that to sit down becomes a hazardous business. Here's a chair with 3 legs. On another chair, the children are playing cooking. This chair happens to have 4 legs. This is the one that's offered to the visitor, but the children's cooking has not been wiped away. And if you sit down, you risk a pair of trousers. What a horrible person. I'm going to share this article with everybody because you guys.
That is a good article.
No, I mean, he's got to be an INTJ or an ENFP. I mean, ENFJ. I think he might actually be ENFJ. Reading that thing right there makes me think he's an ENFJ. Now, you might say, well, but he's got horrible FE. Well, yeah, but could be an ENTJ. Can INTPs have ADHD? Yeah, sure, of course, but it's not a real thing. Remember that. It's just that you function better. You function better as You're fucking better when you take amphetamines. Let's see.
Hey, Annie. Annie H.
The future is going to be so hyper-capitalist that everyone's going to be required to invest in the stock market. I don't think so. I think capitalism will die off. There are two people who don't know what capitalism means. Capitalism is simply the absence of violence preventing you from doing what you want without interference. That's all it is. Capitalism is what happens when... Capitalism is what happens when nobody sticks a gun in anybody's face. When I'm able to do business with somebody without interference. Nobody who thinks capitalism is bad thinks it's bad that I sell typing sessions. Nobody who thinks capitalism is bad goes, you're an evil corporate monster, Eric, but it's the same exact thing as everybody else is doing. You know, sell shit. That's what you do, right? You provide utility to other people, and then you get rewarded accordingly with monies. Can Kirsten Storm for you? Okay, maybe he's an INFJ. I mean, there's definitely a failure to understand the nature of the system, and I guess it's an NI idea. NEH, look, you don't think that though. You actually don't believe that. In other words, you don't think that you should get to have half of the money I make when I do a typing session, right? You don't think you should get to have any of the money I make when I do a typing session, right? So you don't believe in socialism. Socialism is when Annie takes a gun and shoves it in somebody's face and says, I want some of your money. That's socialism. Okay, there's no we needing to take care of everyone, Annie. You take care of them. For all the people who say this sort of stuff, Annie, no, Annie, listen, hey, you take care of them. Why are you here? If you have enough energy and time to advocate forcing other people to help, why don't you go out right now and help? Go give people money. Okay, maybe INFJ then, fine. Maybe Karl Marx is an INFJ. I don't know. I definitely think, I mean, when he says he has no problem being a hypocrite, that doesn't sound very INFJ-ish. You know, that's weaker TI than that, or countervalued potentially. Well, I mean, right now you're harming because you're advocating for violence against people who didn't do anything to you at all.
What's going on?
And he's advocating in favor of socialism.
Oh, no.
Like, what makes you possibly think that some centralized body of governance can better spend your money than you? Because right now, we've got something like socialism. It's called Social Security, okay? And every working American has 33% of their paycheck taken away. But guess what, Annie? Guess what? It didn't work. In fact, it's one of the worst possible ways that you can harm the economy and do no good. For people who are paying into Social Security now, they will never, if they're under my age or so, they will never see any money back from Social Security because
Yep. He's
I'm
right.
not framing your opinions for you. I'm telling you the truth. What you're advocating for, you might not understand it to be such, but what you are actually advocating for is violence, unjust violence against people who have not done anything against you. You're advocating and forcing everybody to agree with you at gunpoint. I'm saying let's not do that.
Tomorrow I'll start working again on the SSI thing.
Oh yeah, we should do that
Tomorrow.
That's fine. Yeah, I've been pretty lazy.
I say that because tomorrow's my 8th day and I'll be most efficient.
Annie, there's never been a good instance of centralized control managing society well. I cut the shit, Annie, you don't even know what it means. You have no idea what wealth means. Hold on, you have no idea what wealth means. You have no idea where it comes from. You have no idea why people acquire wealth or how it comes into existence, and you have no business talking about economics. You're using your feelings, not thinking. You don't understand economics well enough to talk about it. What you call socialism, you think it's just sort of us agreeing and to help everybody. Doesn't work like that. The best way you can help everybody is stop taking their money away so that everybody can help themselves and contribute to charity and do all those other things on their own. The government is stealing our moral agency. If I want to give money to the poor, I get sort of moral credit for that, right? But if the government steals the money from me and then gives it to the poor, I get no credit for that.
Dan Black, in numerology, tomorrow is my 8 day. Like, if you add up all the numbers plus my birthday, it will equal 8. And I've actually found that tracking my numerology numbers, like, actually helps me a lot. Because, like, sometimes, I don't know, it just does. It's just a frame for my mind, and I know it's, like, a lot of woo-woo, but I like it. Tends to be true for me.
Well, do ISTJs get mistyped as ISTPs? Probably not. But it's possible. It's conceivable because you're looking at countervalued but pretty evident SI. Could be mistaken as first in theory. You're looking at shitty FE either way, 4th and 7th. Those could be mistaken for each other. And you're looking at SE2, SE 5th could easily enough be mistaken for each other, especially with SE being one of the more difficult ones to slot distinguish like that. The reason I don't think ISTJs are likely, though, to be mistyped as ISTPs is it is pretty challenging to mistake TI6 for TI1. TI1 is pretty damn robust. I know corporations file like 100% of patents, though. Not 100%. Individuals are going to file patents too. But the point about corporations is not whatever it is you think that they do that's good. It's people need to understand a corporation is a legal entity. It's a fictitious name, right? And the reason people need to have legal entities when they do business is for liability reasons, tax reasons, etc. You know, you don't want to have every small business owner lose their home and all their possessions when their business fails. In order to make sure that doesn't happen, we separate people's. This is the business's money, and this is my personal money. In order to do that and have the business be able to spend money as the business, we come up with this legal fiction called a corporation. And people have this crazy, weird phobia about corporations or something that there's something onerous about corporations. Every city in America is a corporation, literally. And if you live in a city or a town, you live in an incorporated area. What does it mean to incorporate? It means for a group to create a name to act under collectively. No, I didn't. I may have said ISTP struggle with the genealogy questions, but that it was in fact the case that I believe I was talking to ISFP with 6-slot SI, not an ISTP. It could have been I was talking even to 8-slot SI person. The point being that TI can be good. 8th or 5th TI can be good, but SI is weaker than it is in an NTP. But so yeah, I mean, INTPs in theory would do better than ISTPs on those questions. But here's the thing: demonstrative 6-slot ISTP SI is probably almost exclusively the metaphysical kind, and it's almost probably has mostly to do with remembering things like that, so you can do TI calculations. Regardless, yes, it is the case that INTPs will remember better, but ISTP's SI is going to be more suitable for the metaphysical end of things, and ISFP's SI is going to be less suitable for the metaphysical end of things and more suitable for the physical end of things. I don't want to feed that peacock. Rachel already fed him. He's being ridiculous now. He's like here all day, hanging out, waiting for us to feed him constantly. He needs to come back in the evening. We'll feed him once, and that's it. I'm not going to play. Now I have a pet peacock that hangs around the house all day. It's ridiculous. You have to put things in place systematically in order to take care of everyone. Okay, but Annie, that's not true. Most elderly people, you don't need to take care of them because they take care of themselves. They have either pensions, retirements, or they are still working potentially. Disabled people. If we were to get rid of Social Security and stop giving the disabled payments directly, we would see every working American have an additional third. Whatever they get is 2/3 of what they should be getting, right? An additional third of their income, 33% more income. And we as individuals need to take care of those close to us. Now, I would point out something hugely important, Annie. We've had a war on poverty, spent trillions of dollars of it, didn't budge the poverty needle, didn't budge it, stayed exactly where it was. We had a war on drugs, didn't budge drug usage, didn't budge it, stayed exactly where it was. We've thrown enormous amounts of resources already at homelessness. Hasn't solved the problem. Why? Because you don't understand that you have to respect the individual's agency. So in talking about this, you're disrespecting everybody except yourself. You're disrespecting me because you say your pet important thing justifies you stealing my money. You're disrespecting the elderly, presuming they can't take care of themselves and need you to advocate for them, even though nobody has asked you to advocate for them. You're disrespecting the disabled, who you assume can't take care of themselves and support themselves at all. And you're ignoring reality regarding the homeless, which is, first of all, something needs to be done about homelessness, but it shouldn't be framed as we have a responsibility to house the homeless. It should be framed as we have a responsibility to resolve this civic nightmare of homelessness in our communities. And that doesn't necessarily mean I have a plan as president. I think given the case law on the matter, we need to have, and this is something that is going to have to be, we have to spend some money on. Okay. But in this case, it's going to be a good and excellent expenditure. Okay. We need to make a centralized out in the boondocks city called Homeless Town and have it be a federal land. The reason for this is the Supreme Court has ruled that we cannot you can't arrest somebody or bust them for vagrancy unless you have some place for them to go. So the courts have, in their incredibly stupid anti-wisdom, have sided with Annie on this. That somehow society has a responsibility to provide a house for somebody, or else they can camp in the middle of the fucking sidewalk, which is absolutely insane. Okay, there's no possible justification for this ruling. But I mean, the thing is, I would be fine with the ruling if it just said, no, you can't make them leave because they haven't done anything criminal. And then they say, well, we criminalize vagrancy. And they go, well, that's not a legitimate crime. That would be fine. I'd be fine with that ruling. But instead, the courts give a prescription. It says you can do that, but only if you provide houses for them. Well, that's why my answer is where they're going to go is we need a centralized federal place called Homeless Town, where all of any homeless services get centralized there. There are no homeless services anyplace else in America. We made a big public service campaign that says, do not give money to homeless people. Absolutely give them nothing. Give them nothing. All their services are at Homeless Town. They need to go to Homeless Town. I mean, this is the thing, Sean Ryan Barron. I'm not interested in seeing people arrested for homelessness. And I'm interested in seeing this Homeless Town be a program that is voluntary. In other words, what all cities will do is provide free transportation to any homeless person who's willing to take it to Homeless Town. They don't have to go, but the town's going to put an equivalent amount of energy into a big public announcement campaign saying these homeless people have someplace to go, and we're trying to get them to go there. We're trying to get them free tickets to go there. So, but if you keep giving them money, they're going to stay here. So I'm not interested in forcing them to go there. Okay. What I am interested in, though, is setting up homeless towns such that it's a lot more challenging to get transportation out of than it is to get into it. Right. That's obviously if how will it be organized and regulated so it doesn't turn into anarchy. Okay. So this is one of those things where the federal government is going to step up and provide policing with federal, probably the FBI, I guess, or it would have to be the FBI. The FBI is going to have to provide the police services there, or at least manage the police services there. They could potentially even hire homeless people who come in to be patrols and stuff. Regardless, it shouldn't turn into anarchy. I agree. But I also don't want it to be a place where homeless people are subject to constant curfews and bullshit like that. It's the same as any place else. They do what they want to do there, except there they can get services. That's the only difference. Oh, you want to get a room in the big building full of rooms for homeless people? I'm not interested in that, Annie H. I am not interested in reintegrating these people into society after this. If, in fact, these people, the normal services will be there. All your normal services. So, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, mental health services, etc. If the person is well, they will choose and want to reintegrate into society. There'll be methodologies for them to do that. What's insane and incredibly harmful is to presume that our duty is to do that. This is going to have to be a taxpayer-funded thing. But here's the difference, Zaylen Black, between this and other kind of things. In the status quo, every time a city spends money on homeless services, am I back? Am I back? Every time a city spends money on homeless services, what does that do? What does that do? It attracts homeless people. So I know for a fact here in LA, there's this ongoing back and forth between the downtown area and Pomona, where homeless people downtown go, I need services. And downtown people go, oh, there's services in Pomona. And here's a bus ticket to Pomona. All the homeless people get out the bus in Pomona. And they go, where's the services? And they go, oh, there's services in LA. Here's a bus ticket to LA. So that's the solution in the status quo. What we need to remember is that we have in the status quo the wrong level of government dealing with homelessness. So we can't let local government deal with homelessness because that just attracts homeless people. And who wants to be the town that you can never solve your homeless problem. The more services you have, the more homeless people you'll attract. That's why if we want to address the homelessness problem, we need to centralize the services. Well, look, the point is, I'm not going to be interested in micromanaging how services are handled within homeless town. I'm not going to be interested in micromanaging how best to preserve the mental health of those people, blah, 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 blah. Those programs will be in place, and they're important, and that's fine. That's not my part of the deal here, okay? We can hire appropriate, sociology, FI people to do that stupid shit. I don't care about it. Yeah, homeless town. It's a good idea, right? If we just centralize all the services, make that a federal expenditure, it's going to save a ton. You need to refresh Zaylen Black. No, it shouldn't be in an area of the city. It needs to be out in the middle of the fucking nowhere. Okay, well, Annie H., it's funny because you're advocating a broad policy that's guaranteed to never work at all, like general socialism. I'm saying, here's how an actual policy prescription that's going to work would work. and you think people won't do it right. Well, why do you think people are going to do your socialism right? I mean, the thing is, I'll be president, so of course it's going to be done right. And it doesn't require any force. That's the key thing. Nobody's forcing the homeless people to go there. Thanks, email Anthrax. Well, I know, Annie H. You can't. And you cannot assume either that everybody's going to just sort of cooperate with your nonsense. That's the other thing. Like with the COVID shit. Oh, well, let's coordinate. But it's not going to work, morons. Not everybody's going to cooperate with it. And even if they do, it can't be cooperated with in full. Yeah, they're allowed to leave homeless town whenever they want, but there's no public transportation out of there. So they're going to have to either, get somebody to come pick them up or,
I mean, like, anyone who, like, thinks that socialism is a good idea should really do some traveling, because then they'll realize, like the people who actually lived in socialist areas didn't like it.
What's the most socialist place in America? What's the most socialist place in America? San Francisco. Where also the worst homelessness in America and some of the worst crime in America. San Francisco. There you go. I mean, that doesn't prove anything. It's just a correlation, but I don't get stuck in paradigm locks. Annie H. I don't. Other people do. Other people get frame locked. I don't. I have an actual solution to homelessness. You're talking to me about getting stuck under paradigm locks?
God, I hate this conversation so much that's making me not breathe.
I'm making an actual policy prescription.
God.
Why is it bother you so
much? Annie H?
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
I don't know. It's so annoying. You're talking to a brick wall.
Well, who should be allowed to become an American? I mean, people who were born in America, in the USA, are natural born citizens. And as far as immigration goes, I don't oppose immigration in general. But I do think that immigrants ought to be valuable to the country in some way. I think we currently have enough unskilled labor. I mean, she was saying she was super annoyed by the conversation. Oh, well, she was calling you a brick wall. But I mean, like, what'd you say here? I get locked into my paradigm and argued under the guise of open-mindedness. Not true. I'm not. First of all, it's super not true. When do I ever argue under the guise of open-mindedness? When do I ever say that you should agree with me because I'm open-minded, or that my position is more open-minded? My argument is that my position is good and correct, and yours is wicked and wrong. It's pretty straightforward. It's not no guise, right? I'm not inferring things here or implying things. I'm stating them directly. Your girl would be homeless if she didn't parasite off you or her family. Well, she's not homeless, Annie. So no, she shouldn't go to homeless town. And even if she were homeless, it would be up to her. I'm not talking about forcing people to go to homeless town. See, in properly done world, Annie H., people who our family or loved ones take care of each other. And it's not always the case that every member of a family is an equal earner. So grandma might be too old to earn, but we still take care of her ourselves without expecting other people to take care of her for us. Little children, they can't work yet, but we still take care of them instead of expecting the government to do it, even though they can't take care of themselves. It's called actual human interaction with people, you know? So then what about those who don't? What do we do with them? Like I said, Annie, well, first of all, remember, you've stolen 33% of their money. So they're 33% less equipped to do so. The issue is people born in homeless town. How would I deal with that? That's a tough call. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. But what do we do with? How is that any different than homeless people having kids in regular town? All right, even if it's true that a homeless town would be the worst possible ghetto, why would that be the case? It wouldn't start out that way, right? So, my point is, if a population of people is going to naturally create, left to their own devices, a ghetto that's the birthplace of the worst possible crimes, then we definitely should isolate them in homeless town, right? We don't want them around here because that's what they do when they have their own space to do whatever they want with. According to Ken Christian Summer Pagoo, they're going to make it into a ghetto with the worst possible crimes. There will be law enforcement. And then, the point is, though, the whole point of this whole thing is that we can liberate everybody else from having to provide homeless services. And we can solve the implicit problem of being punished for doing a good job of providing homeless services. That's what every city in America is subject to at the moment. They know if I am a city and I do a good job providing homeless services, I am fucking myself in the ass. So we need to put an end to that reality. If you want people to get services and stuff, if you want meaningful help for homeless people, we have to change the status quo. Because in the status quo, there's an active disincentive to provide services for homeless people if you care about your city and your community at all. There's an active disincentive across the board to doing anything good or nice for homeless people, including providing beds or giving them change or anything like that. Because, of course, to the extent that you enable those people to persist in an area that's not appropriate. It's like people either need to have a residence, or if failing to do so, they need to figure out something that will take them away for a while, like work on a fishing boat or something, so they don't have to think about it. Obviously, some people are going to fall on some hard times. They aren't going to have people to help them or whatever, but I would say that to the extent that we want any kind of services in the regular towns and cities, those services would be sort of emergency intervention services that say, somebody comes to you and they're like, I'm about a month away from being homeless, then I'm not sure, something, right? Something like a program that's designed to get somebody into very cheap housing, like a studio apartment or something in a crummy neighborhood, and get them a you know, like a minimum wage kind of a job or something. Now, if in fact that doesn't stick and this person doesn't actually go homeless, well, then if they want more services than that, they need to go to homeless town. Every ghettoized residence points to very bad stuff unless some form of rectification is done to reintegrate into the mainstream society. But King and Curse of Summergoo, the crazy thing is this. In no way, shape, or form are these people being successfully reintegrated into society in the status quo. So I'm not making that any worse. Why are you adding this sort of... What I'm saying is here's a solution that's a lot better than status quo and actually solves the problem of homelessness, at least from one half of the angle, right? Now, as a FI person or FE person or whatever, you may think we need to do more than that for homeless people. But note, I am not taking away something that's working now to replace it with this. What we have now doesn't work at all, remotely. Annie H., they're already out of society. You think a homeless person who's filthy, living on a sidewalk, downtown LA, screaming at people, do you think they are in society? They are at the as far out of society as they can possibly be. At least in homeless town, they'll be amongst their peers. They'll probably feel a lot more at home there. They'll probably feel a lot more like they have a society there than feeling like the outcast of society here. Yeah. And why is it that you assume so much that you know what other people want and what's good for other people? I'm trying to solve a specific problem here, okay? And you're like, well, yeah, you're doing a great job of solving homelessness, Eric, but I don't know. It might not be best for those homeless people. Fuck the homeless people. I mean, by any objective measure, it's going to be better than what it is now. And if it's not ideal for the homeless people, they can take care of them fucking selves. You know, it's like, or certainly don't occupy public space and make everything squalid and gross.
Yeah, that's like really fucked up.
And that's how it is. Like you drive downtown LA or any place around, you know, it's like
shame.
There's just homeless people. And it's not like it's not like they're tidy. They don't keep a clean neighborhood or anything.
They don't. It's a shame. It really is. They don't know how lucky they are. That like, because like I'm not gonna lie, cops in New York would be like, clean up your shit or we're gonna make you move.
Sean Marion Barron, I like the idea of building up homeless town around abandoned steel mills. So, you know, it's like we find a place with some abandoned steel mills, a Superfund site too.
There you go.
It can be toxic. It can be, with the toxic waste all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
By the time we are done with homeless town, we are going to have some homeless people with superpowers and all the chemicals and toxins. Okay, guaranteed.
What a story!
It's gonna be like the juncture of all the big electrical wires over the top.
Oh my god! It's like Stranger Things combined with Chernobyl.
And then homeless town. You know, after they start getting superpowers, they band together and wage war against non-homeless town, right?
And then in 20 years, it'll be an HBO series about homeless town.
Their demand as they go to war with the rest of the United States is that all of America become homeless town.
One of their powers, one of them, ironically, learns like superpower is picking up trash.
They called me the Victor Bob, and he throws trash away. I think you have that backwards.
But really, my power is that I just like love it. Take all of it and I throw it out. I like things clean, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, we can. That's one of the reasons. One of the reasons why people want to go to homeless town. Homeless people want to go there is because they know that's where you go to get superpowers. Well, advertise underneath the power wires, near a radiation area, around the toxic waste dump. That's where superpowers come from. And we're also going to shoot gamma rays in there, X-rays.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
It can be close to Area 51.
Right. put a little bit of various unknown substances around and see
We
what
could give them
happens.
jobs in Area 51.
We could. They could go around and pick up trash, from all the alien watchers. Alien watchers are notorious for leaving candy wrappers all over the place. Ethan McDonald says, Eric, can we talk another time for a bit? Okay. Sure.
Aw,
What do
that
you want
sounded
to talk
like
about?
an ear okay. Oh, my boo-boo.
You want to talk about what type you are again? Giving people that are on the ground an easy to start, hard to finish opportunity to pull themselves out will change a lot, I think. And homeless town is a great setup for just that. Yeah, I mean, look, easy to start, hard to finish opportunities for homeless people in homeless town is a great idea. Like the thing is, okay, well, they have there should be plenty of there's going to be services there. First of all, I want to know why I'm being required to give them more hope than they currently have. Because, first of all, in the status quo, there aren't enough beds for all the homeless people, remotely close to it. There aren't enough homeless shelters, right? There aren't enough soup kitchens. There certainly aren't enough public showers and stuff like that for all the homeless people. So
It could be.
obviously, they're going to be more hope in homeless town. At least they know
they'll have shelter.
they'll have shelter. They'll have
Working, like,
electricity.
yeah,
and they'll be able
running water.
yeah,
That's good shit.
and they don't have to worry about every time, in homeless town. Everybody, there's lots of public shit in homeless town, right? So if homeless people still want to be homeless in homeless town, they can be homeless.
Yeah,
in homeless town.
exactly.
They don't even have to be in a home in
Oh
homeless
my
town.
gosh.
They can
They
just
can take their tent and
there's
they can move
like
there.
the streets of homeless town are built with super wide sidewalks. Basically, are just designed for urban camping.
That sounds
okay?
so nice.
And it's like perfect homeless town. You give them all the things homeless people like.
Yeah.
You know?
With your drugs, alcohol.
Yeah.
They like kids. They often bring their kids around with them.
I mean, the thing is, what I would suggest is
They like tents, I noticed. They do like to sleep as well.
Eric, your solution about that you
You
make has been
see
applied to
that
many
black-
countries, including mine, and similar forms doesn't work well. Well, but see, here's the thing, Can't Get Christian Summer Coop. I am actually this plan of mine is not responsive to homelessness per se, although it is, but it's responsive to the case law regarding vagrancy punishments and such.
Right.
So
That's the thing.
the thing is, the Supreme Court has ruled that cities can't force vagrants to leave public areas very much unless they have some place for them to go.
Right.
So LA City can't kick the homeless people off the sidewalks unless they have a homeless shelter with enough beds for them all to go to.
Right.
And my point is, okay, well, then what we need is a federal thing that takes all comers from all over the country, and now we can enforce civil society. My main point here, though, to those who are questioning whether the viability of this, whether it's a good idea, is remember you're defending the status quo. You're not defending a better idea.
I think some homeless people choose to be that way. It isn't our place to determine that it is wrong. I even find the idea of being freed from government structure somewhat appealing, like a wanderlust, says Sean Ryan Barron. So I agree with you because I did a project when I was I was taking a class in social work, and I did a project on homelessness, and we found in our project that a lot of homeless people chose to be that way, and they knew the shelters, they knew the laws, they just wanted to be
here's
homeless.
The choice between being homeless is not between being homeless and not being homeless. It's between being homeless and less constrained by things like shelters and such, or being homeless and more constrained by things like shelters.
Yeah. Yep.
People don't choose to be persistently homeless.
No.
That's to say, to be without resources,
Right.
without work, and nothing to do and nowhere to go.
No.
They don't typically choose that. At least not. It's certainly not
some
a fully.
Really are suffering. Some really are suffering.
It's certainly not a fully informed choice. A lot of homeless people have mental illness issues, and a lot of homeless people have drug and alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is.
Yeah.
The point is, Annie H. And after you vote for Eric for president, Seattle will no longer have homeless people, and you won't have to worry about it. You won't be tripping over them all over the place. Now, why do we have so many homeless people, Annie, in Seattle? What's one of the big reasons? It's that socialism you love so much.
Mm-hmm.
Raising the $20 living wage law created a lot of homeless people. Because remember, those people were getting bullshit housing subsidies before that. What you need to do is say our cities and our towns and our homes and our streets and our sidewalks are for the public. And that includes a wide variety of people. And, every kind of person matters. But it doesn't include the behavior of living outside in the city or the town or whatever. You want to go camping, there are campgrounds and in the mountains and stuff. Look, Annie H., the point is this. Oh, those are well-regulated and they're respectful, Annie H. says about the tent cities. Well, why do you think you have so many homeless people? I mean, homeless town is going to be well-regulated and respectful too, for sure. And we'll tear down those tent cities, and then the homeless people won't have any other option but to go to homeless town. They'll be just as well cared for, probably more, because the whole town will be devoted towards homeless services.
It doesn't have to be called homeless town.
It doesn't have to be called homeless town. That's true. Yes, homeless town will have running water and air conditioning and heat and electricity and stuff. What I'm saying is this. I'm saying until we centralize this, there will always be a reality disincentive towards providing homeless services by any locality because it will attract more homeless people. I think homeless town is a great name, though. Let me explain my fears about this. Go ahead, Annie H. But you're not responding to what I'm saying. You got to understand what the status quo is. The status quo is such that in the status quo, there's a disincentive naturally built in to providing homeless services because if you're like Seattle and you do a good job of it, you get shit tons and shit tons of homeless people as a reward for your good efforts. I mean, first of all, Annie H., what crazy nonsense that happens in the world doesn't show up on YouTube from somebody's cell phone video? Why would that be any different than in homeless town? And second of all, Annie H., nobody's being forced to go to homeless town. It's just the inevitable destination for those who need services because of a lack of job and housing. I mean, email anthrax, I kind of agree with you but I don't think that's actually the problem. Like, the problem is not a lack of motivation by homeless people to get unmotivated. The problem's not, they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Most of them have substantial problems of some sort or another.
Yeah.
So it's not that straightforward. How will they get reintegrated? Some of them can. And what if fans got homeless? Okay, well, I mean, Annie, again, you're not arguing against your ideal. What happens to the status quo, Annie? What happens when homeless people have children in status quo? Because what I'm saying is this is better than the status quo. You're saying if it's not perfect, I'm going to negate. But remember, when you negate, you affirm the status quo. So you're not saying this is bad because it's not good enough or something, or it's bad. You have to remember that the status quo does not, it's all terrible. it's a preferable alternative to doing nothing and or creating more of the problem by providing services locally. And so, since we don't want to do that, and we all agree that providing services locally attracts homeless people, we should all agree with that because it's true. If you have a bunch of beds, somebody's suddenly gone homeless. Go, where can I get? I gotta get a bed tonight. I'm homeless and broke. I need a place. Well, they've got a homeless shelter here and here. You go there and there. People go to homeless shelters because they need them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, when we centralize the whole thing, we have a lot of beds, put in the middle of nowhere, big ass buildings, beds, blah, blah, blah. We could have differing degrees of housing, like from bed in a dorms kind of setting to single room, like studio apartment, to something a little bit bigger than that, maybe like a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom or whatever. As far as the families go, well, that's why you need those 2 bedroom apartments, I guess. Maybe even a 3 bedroom or so. You might have to put families in there. Okay, well, are there going to be schools? Yeah, I guess there'd have to be a school for any children that were there. But my point is, all those questions are not unique to my advocacy. It's not like anybody else is coming up with a better. It's not like the status quo is ever going to afford a better solution. What do the children of homeless people do right now? Do they go to school?
Definitely not.
I mean, the thing is, if they were to go to school, then the parents are going to have to know what district they go to. But if they don't live in any district, then which district do they go to? So, I mean, in the status quo, as far as I could tell, I don't see how children of homeless people could go to school without an address. But, but yeah, I mean, it's obviously not going to be a place, no matter how well run the place is. And obviously, it's always better to have any sort of thing like this well run than poorly run. But no matter how well run it is, it's still going to be a shithole. But what is not going to be a shithole is all the rest of the cities in America. So it's a good trade-off. Because right now, all the big cities in America that have decent weather are being shitholeized by massive influx of homeless people. I mean, there'd obviously have to be a lot of child protective services shit going on there, because some of those people who might get pregnant, might give birth to addicted children and stuff like that, and it's
Yeah.
There should be free sterilization. Free sterilization. We'll pay you. It should pay them to sterilize. Like, if you're willing to get sterilized when you come to homeless town and you're between the ages of 15 and whatever, then we'll pay you to sterilize yourself. That way we don't have to worry about it. We could just do that for half the population. We just do it for men, Say if you're willing to get sterilized, you're willing to get a vasectomy. We not only will provide it for free for any homeless person coming into homeless town, but we'll pay you. We'll pay you $500 to get it done. That'd be a good idea. When you incentivize stuff instead of force shit, it works well. When you manage the market stuff, like the free market provides reasons for things and so forth. It's like when you manage the market vectors successfully, then you don't have rights problems. It may sound a little eugenical, but it's actually just a sensible approach towards dealing with the fact that there's a population of people who, I think it's fair to say, if you're a homeless person who ends up in a homeless town, you are not in a position to have a child right now. So we help prevent, we obviate, help anticipate and prevent without violating rights. That's the critical thing. Nobody's forced to go to homeless town, and nobody's going to be forced to be sterilized or anything like that. But, if we can legitimately do it with an incentive, then cool.
I can't. make me laugh.
Well, even
The name, anyway.
I don't know. I haven't paid a lot of attention to how well Taylor types people in a while, but assuming I don't think so. I mean, maybe he would, but I don't think so. I mean, socionics is anybody who's trying to claim that. Well, but in socionics, you're a meow. It doesn't work like that. No, we're talking about the same thing in both systems. So, in any system, you're talking about a stack, one of 16 possible stacks. No, it's not different criteria, Ethan. You're talking about the same functions, the same attentional. You have the same scope of attentional manners to be accounted for. So, if in fact socionics is describing attentional manners incorrectly, then it's possibly true that because of some fundamental wrongness in socionics, that socionics-based typologists might mistype you. But I don't think socionics is that wrong across the board, at least not just sort of at the initial blush level. And so I don't think anybody would try to make that argument that the reason I typed your ISP is because your ISP according to socionics, but not according to actual cognitive functions. I'm pretty sure nobody would make that argument at this point, but maybe somebody still would. But yeah, I mean, socionics is not bad, but it doesn't disagree with me or other people, except where one of us is right and one of us is wrong. You can't have it both ways. It's not subjective like that. You know, like a tarot card might be interpreted to mean meow, 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 meow. And that's fine. And there's a range of things that it could reasonably be interpreted as. There's some things that it really couldn't reasonably be interpreted as, but lines are kind of blurry. But that's not the case with functions. Oh. So logical sensory logical introvert is ISTJ, and logical sensory introvert is ISTP. Because see, the S is first in ISTJ because it's SI, then the L because it's TE, and because it's SI, they're introverted. Whereas the ISTP, first they're logical, TI, then they're sensory, SE, and they're introvert because they're TI. So you get that backwards. Typing results definitely can vary, but it is incorrect to say that as a consequence, you are a ESFJ in this system and an ENFJ in that system. No, that's, they can vary because mostly people are wrong to some or more degree. And so they're going to, to the extent that people are wrong, naturally they're going to disagree with me. And when they say, oh, my system varies. But no, you're wrong. I mean, it's like saying, yeah, okay, you are using numbers as well, but when you say 2 + 2 could equal 5, if I wanted to, you're not really using the numbers anymore. You're arbitrarily saying, I'm using what we normally call the number 2 to mean 2 or 3, depending on my whim. Yeah, but Damon was wrong about that. I made a video explaining how Damon's so full of shit about that. Damon is not an SLE in any system in any world. He's not a sensory logical extrovert. Sensory doesn't come first. The logic comes first. He's either a logical sensory extrovert or a logical intuitive extrovert. I had to make a video about that because Damon was trying to play that game. Like, I don't have to be constrained by reality at all. I can just sort of fudge by, here's a good fudging mechanism. Bullshit. No, it's not a good fudging mechanism. It's a terrible fudging mechanism. It's trying to reduce cognitive functions into an entirely NI thing. That it doesn't matter if anything's reducible, as long as it's holistically true, then that's good enough. Well, homie don't play that.
I do have a job, by the way. It's being Eric's girlfriend.
Okay, so Taylor is talking about the values that normally correlate with SE and not talking about an attentional process. He's correct about the values. SE correlates with impact or change, or I wouldn't say force, but opportunism, pulling the trigger, causing, it's action in the causal field, in the external physical field. So yeah, it does have to do with impacts and stuff like that. But the thing is, when you say Taylor thinks SE is blah 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 blah, thinks SE equals force and impact in the world, did Taylor say, okay, so let's talk about SE and its variety of manifestations. First, let's talk about what values it tends to correlate with. Force and impact tend to be correlated with SE, but of course it varies a lot by where it is in the slot, because whether that value is instrumental or absolute depends on which slot it's in, and how it manifests depends on the slot a lot. So it's better to talk about it as a process. What is that process? The process is following through on the various steps necessary to see a decision through to fruition. It doesn't necessarily mean that SE DOMs are great at long-term follow-through. And if anybody's going to be more likely to be good at long-term follow-through, it's going to be fifth slot SE. What's codependency? That's codependency with me. What's codependency? Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was singing in my head too.
Oh, nice.
I was thinking, I'm getting my period.
Are you?
Soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
Nipolar would be ESTJ and ESFJ. Yeah.
so.
And NI, kind of an NI.
60s.
6 days?
Yeah.
Kind of an NI-polar moment for my dad today was when, I pointed out that just because the report that we got from the nursing home indicates a problem with mom pinching people does not mean that they want my dad to try to solve that problem. In fact, it almost certainly does not mean that, My dad, of course, calls them up and tries to solve the problem. Like, well, I'm going to bring some gloves, blah, 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 blah. That, to me, that seems like a bit of an NI-polar thing. Like, obviously, just because they write in a sort of 6-month report about Jane's progress and they make some notations about her pinching people, only an ESTJ would think, I'm going to solve this problem.
I know for myself, I would probably make a phone call and be like, hey, is everything okay? And then want to see what they have to say, because it's a pretty normal thing that happens in dementia and Alzheimer homes.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly
That's me.
dull,
Especially right now.
it's an incredibly dull, nothing unexpected kind of report from the nursing home. It mentions a couple, it's like in any kind of that report, you're going to have a couple of things you complain about, a couple of things you say are going well.
Oh, it's just like a report card.
It's like an IEP, an individualized education plan.
That makes sense.
Where they
you want to keep updated on.
Well, yeah, they've got a form and they say this is where she is at right now. This is what our goal is. I mean, it's like she's not going to get better. What are you trying to? It's like progress theater,
That sounds like it.
But anyway, when they send this report They didn't want to. This is how it's supposed to go. The client, Jane, doesn't care or want them to make this report about her. The person writing the report doesn't want to write the report.
No.
And the family members don't want to read the report. That's how it should go. But I'm sure the first two parts are the same. Part 3 is, my dad is, oh, yes, let's see, what kind of problems can I solve here? And he's constantly fretting about shit that he needs no reason to fret about.
Oh yeah. So meaty.
So meaty. We're going to have to wrap this up pretty quick because I'm out of cigarillos. But I do want to put this on for the
Yay!
enjoyment of the peoples of the world. That's all of them. All 7 billion. If I could just get all 7 billion people to listen to this song, I'd really have accomplished something. 30,000 days. Too many expectations. Not even worth a damn. 30,000 nights to sleep off the intoxication. Otherwise, you won't escape the plan. I wasted half my days trying on another's way. But who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody who's the key? Because I'm tired of doing it wrong. Want direction and have all along. Wait until I know. Until I know. Or is that just hesitation? Clarity's no good once your chance is gone. What I need to show, is it so below my station? I'm tired of doing it wrong. Yeah, this will probably be the next one to go up. I wasted half my days trying on others' ways. Who can tell me the priorities? Is there anybody who knows the key? Because I think I'm doing this wrong. Do you think doing this wrong? I'm doing this wrong. Probably one too many of these things in here. Like, better probably. Yeah, this meow like meow. And finally conclude with a very dramatic, widely applauded. Yeah. Okay. So let's get a little bit more work to do. But that's probably the next thing going up. I appreciate you asking when I put more songs up. I've got multiple that are in the sort of in the tank kind of, but I'm not necessarily perfectly happy with them. Like Siddhartha Suneta, I think I'm going to end up changing the vocals. We recorded some new vocals, but I need to record. I recorded some new vocals from Rachel, but I need to record some other new vocals from me. And if ISTPs are TI down, why aren't they perceived as being intelligent relative to the INTPs? Because if you talk to them, they don't sound smart. If you were to interview an ISTP, they don't sound smart. When I coached in interview skills an ISTP, he sounded like a moron, but he got a perfect score on the ACT and was applying to Harvard and places like that have actual interviews, which is why he needed interview skills. He had no inertia, you know? Oh, thank you very much, Annie.
That's
I really
nice.
appreciate that. Very Cake feel. I do like the band Cake, so I take that
Yeah.
as a compliment.
That is very nice.
On your latest Tool song video, you have a Tool song? What's a Tool song?
You made a
Do you have a?
like a music video to a Tool song?
Is this the name of your channel? Is the Genexial? Let me look for it. Evolution propaganda. You know, it's with evolution. I don't feel like there's any sort of propaganda to it, really. I just feel like it's like you come across some kids and they're at the bottom of a deep hole, and he's going, no, dig left more, and then the other kids go, no, dig right more, and they start digging right, digging left, and they end up going further down. I go, no, we're even further away from the top. I said, okay, all right.
I get it.
I don't feel like people are willfully wrong about evolution. I think everybody just bought it because everybody accepted the frame that the alternative to evolution was creationism in its most ridiculous sort of fundamentalist Christian form, and it just isn't a reason to support evolution because it's making the affirmation. It's claiming to have the explanation. You know. All right, so I'm at your YouTube channel, the Genexial. Let's get you off of the number 69. That's the devil's number.
No, 66.
Parabola Tool fan tribute video. So is this a song by the band Tool? Stink Fist. Chuck Woolery tells how it is. Everyone is lying. Chuck Woolery, he's reliable in that regard. If you can't trust Chuck Woolery, who can you trust? Merv Griffin? Anima. Can the 4th of July be saved? Responsible conspiracy theorizens. The morality of death. The ultimate ideological division. See what he has to say about the morality of death. Can I just play this? Well, you got a COVID thing. You got a COVID thing.
Hey, everybody.
I wish I had cigarettes.
So, this is a little impromptu. I ran across an article tonight. It's Friday night, July 3rd.
Friday night articles.
It appears Donald Trump Jr.'s girlfriend, Kimberly Giffel-Schmickel, Giffel-Lyle, Goyle-Lawful, Kimberly Galafel-Leifel. Poster child for person who looks like a bitch. That person. She has been confirmed to have coronavirus.
Woohoo!
And the very first thing I see all over social media is the left celebrating it. I don't get this. I don't get it.
It's a little something we like to call hypocrisy, Genexial. That's what it is. You know, the problem is you're not just going along with my COVID bullshit. And also, I hate Trump, so I'm so glad he got COVID. I mean, the thing is, I oppose COVID regulations and stuff, but I'm not saying at any point it's because, oh, it's fake. I'm never going to get COVID, blah, 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 blah.
No.
I'm saying, so the fuck, what if I do? which is the proper response to things. Anyway, I do want to tell you what is the alternative to evolution. Well, I mean, I think that the question of special existence, one can sort of delegate the question outside of one's own frame by saying simulation. Simulation seems a pretty good explanation because for a number of reasons. There are those who would say, in fact, it's mathematically very unlikely this is not a simulation because if you consider that the fully immersive simulation is eventually possible, then chances that any given reality is the base reality seem slim. But this is sort of a perceptual thing. There are other reasons to think it's a simulation that have to do with the sort of boundaries of reality, like the way stuff breaks down at the quantum level. So that's a possible explanation. Another possible explanation is some sort of emergent phenomena that we don't understand yet. That when an ecosystem can support a given species in a given niche, that species spontaneously emerges from somewhere, right? That's not an explanation, but it's more consistent with the data than evolution. FI people can be cunts too. Hey, feelers, FI people, don't be sad. I am not reserving cuntiness for me, okay? You too can embrace your inner cuntiness and just FI the shit out of everything. Just splash water on everything. You relate to FI polar? If you really were FI polar, you wouldn't relate at all to anything ever. I mean, I don't feel. I disagree with that a little bit, Annie. I think that if FI puts its foot down at any point, you're in your trouble. You're in a trouble spot. It's not going to be easy to get them to lift that foot back up again. Merriam W is no relation to Merriam-Webster's dictionary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, says Merriam W. I actually authored the less well-known Merriam-Webster's dictionary. FI is values-oriented, so if you cross it, then it can be bitey, but not usually if there's harmony between people. Yeah, I mean, FI types will often be very concerned with FI in general, like if you're dominant FI type. So it makes them more concerned about other people's FI too. And
True.
whether or not what you said could be hurtful potentially. So much so that like INFPs, if you start talking enough shit about Kim Jong-un, they'll start defending him. He's a person too. He's a real person too. Okay, there's no reason to be mean.
that's like
He's
that's the thing that I hear that most.
He's a sociopathic,
There's no
murdering
reason.
scumbag of the highest possible order. Like what? What?
Ridiculous. What the heck did I do with that? That's weird. What did I do with
Well, Annie and Miriam says, no, we will not defend him. We are happy to see
Okay,
him
yes.
suffer. Okay, well, good job, Annie. I'm glad to see your FI permits making bad people suffer. Good job. I just thought that might be low NE seeking NE. Maybe it is. I don't know. Well, guys, I might have COVID. My dad has a fever, and so does my sister. Got to go get tested. Well, that's good. I mean, get it out of the way, Get your COVID out of the way. You can see how serious it is. Marge begins to chat with a lull, as one typically does during flu season or cold season when colds are going around. Now, it's not flu season or cold season anymore. Hey, we could be long since.
Sometimes people do get a summer flu.
Yeah, some people do. But I mean, the thing is, we'd be over this whole COVID shit if we had just let it run its course in the first place. Later in that video, I explained I'd meet in the middle on killing tyrants. Yeah. The problem with killing tyrants is that it's not just killing tyrants, it's waging war. You can't do one without the other. Now, I guess you could try to fire a space laser at Kim Jong-un and kill him specifically and only him. And that would certainly be preferable to any other kind of military action, because at least you're holding the one person who's responsible. But in general, it's considered not very possible to assassinate a country's leader without initiating a war with them. I mean, that's a good reason to go to war if another country assassinates your leader.
Yeah. Miriam W., I really like your icon. It makes me laugh inside.
Is it a Cookie Monster with a tree?
What?
Is it a tree or
It's
something?
a little kitty's face, like coming out of like a box. It looks like
I think it's coming out of a Cookie Monster.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Cookie Monster.
Oh, it's a
yeah.
cat with a Cookie Monster costume on.
Oh, how cute.
Okay, Miriam, I've got some good news for you. Loss of
You're
smell and taste
welcome.
only, no big deal. Those are your two most useless senses. Just be glad you didn't get loss of sight and hearing from COVID. I mean, much worse. Much worse. Not assassination, lawful. Okay, well, I mean, to what extent do we lawfully take out a dictator? Like, what makes it lawful? It's like,
Didn't they like?
I mean, it's lawful if you're already at war with the country. Like, I think the U.S. is still at war with North Korea. We never turned off our declaration of war. So, in theory, if we're still at war with North Korea, we could legally engage in warfare-like behaviors. I just well, I mean, in the context of when we should issue the death penalty on people, if ever, the answer is Kim Jong-un. If there were ever to be an unprincipled foreign policy action that could have massive amounts of positive impact, it would be assassinating the leadership of North Korea. And then, whatever follows can't possibly be that bad. I mean, I know the devil you have, the devil the devil you know, and the devil you don't know. But the devil I know in this case is so awful that the devil I don't know is bound to be better. So, in that regard, if there were ever to be such a thing as that's the thing about U.S. foreign policy. Crossed all these boundaries, done all this bullshit, drone strikes, trying to tell Iran they can't have any nuclear weapons, but we've got the largest nuclear arsenal in the world without any justifications. Just all kinds of bullshit, right? But if we're going to go drone strike terrorist cells or whatever in the Middle East and cause all of the harm that goes along with that, namely all the blowback, all the suffering, the murder, the lack of principle and stuff, why don't we do it smart then instead? It's like, if you're going to do it at all, make sure it counts. If you kill Kim Jong-un, it counts. It makes some impact. You kill a terrorist cell, you create 2 more terrorist cells because you accidentally bombed that wedding too. And now you got all their relatives all hate America and so forth and so on. That's what happens when you go drone strike shit in the Middle East. You're just calculating on a utilitarian calculus. So, I mean, in general, I'm not up for the death penalty either. But I do think that out of all the fucking cowboy bullshit that all these American presidents have done, invading here, why not just do the simple thing of bomb the shit out of Kim Jong-un's house? That would be
Right.
the only thing like that would be possibly justified on utilitarian grounds because you're doing so little major impact in terms of breadth of impact, but so much huge impact in terms of outcome of impact. I mean, I'm not in favor of the death penalty, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I am opposed to all state-sponsored killing.
So what?
I said just because I'm opposed to the death penalty for criminal offenses in the domestic criminal justice system doesn't mean I'm opposed to all state-sponsored killing or state-validated killing.
State.
No, I mean like anytime somebody dies at the hands of the U.S. military, that's a state-validated killing of some sort. It's not the same thing as the death penalty. But if we were to assassinate a leader, it would be very much equivalent. We'd say we are justified in assassinating this leader because they've committed these crimes against the North Korean people. And so we are implementing the death penalty on them right now. Now, of course, you can't have the death penalty without a trial. And it's not really possible to catch Kim Jong-un and take him to trial. So that would be unlawful and unprincipled thing to do.
Mm.
But amongst the shit ton of unprincipled stuff the United States has done over the course of the last couple of decades, that would be the only that would be if you were going to justify unprincipled behavior by utilitarian outcomes, that one would make sense. Not invade Iraq. That doesn't make any sense. The only secular regime in the Middle East, the only secular Arab regime in the Middle East. That doesn't make any sense. Go intervene in civil war there, here, yeah. That doesn't make any sense. But knock out the authoritarian horror show that is the North Korean regime. Who's going to cry for those Argentinians? Not Evita.
Skygator, Lord of the Promiscuous, any tool, I agree. Let's settle for fun rainbow hole.
Ken Christian Summergood, you don't have to believe in redemption to oppose the death penalty. There are good reasons to oppose the death penalty. Namely, number one, it precludes one from remedying mistakes. So we have plenty of examples here in the United States of DNA evidence and new technology absolving a person, proving them not guilty. And then they're getting out of prison. So they've been in prison for like years, wrongly convicted. If we kill somebody, we can't remedy that at all at that point thereafter. And it's not acceptable to render a case beyond the reach of the legal justice system. So it's not okay to say your case is, you're in jail now, and there's no way for you to discuss your situation with any court of law, any lawyer, any judge, any sort of legal action at all. No matter, it's impossible for you. Well, that's what the death penalty does. It makes it impossible for them to engage in further legal action. So, on that grounds, it runs afoul of the basic principle of the legal justice system, which is that by looking at things from a universalist, disinterested perspective, by having as a standard the law to compare against, that reasonable people using their discretion can make reasonable decisions about complex issues.
Isn't the Green Mile kind of about like morals and death penalty and stuff like that?
I believe I've seen part of it.
I've only seen parts of it too, because it's not supposed to be the most joyful of movies, but I believe it is.
I mean, the important thing to remember is we always do our fellow human beings a disservice when we presume to rehabilitate them. When we confer upon them the natural consequence of their wrongdoing, in other words, when we engage in retributive justice, or when we hold them liable, let's say, a remittance-based justice, that's fine. When we engage in rehabilitative justice, then we make claim to the other person's property. The other person's mind and heart and thoughts and feelings and so forth are their own. We don't get to control those. And so when you say here that it's not up to us to mess with that process, only to help them move forward towards peace, you are messing with their process. Don't mess with their process. You can justify locking them up. Why? Because it makes it fair. It took what was an inequality on the flow that Joe had burned down my house and he's living happily free in his house and I don't have any house anymore because he burned it down trying to kill me. Well, we need retribution. In other words, it's not fair that he live happily and comfortably and fine when he's messed up my life so much, right? So it's perfectly reasonable to insist on retributive justice, punishment justice. It's also perfectly reasonable to insist on liability-based justice because those are negative rights-based calculations. Oh, but not only that, but you should have to pay for my house because you destroyed something that had value, and I shouldn't have to replace it since your act was criminal. So now what you're talking about, though, is rehabilitative justice. Now, that presumes too much. You don't get to say what the person ought to do. You get to say what they must do to make remittance, and you get to say what comprises proportional and fair retribution, because those are universalist considerations. But the individual's desire for rehabilitation or likelihood of rehabilitate or all that stuff, that's part of their ontology. You don't get to make claims onto that.
You can.
Sure. Let me just pull this ball.
Absolutely.
Like this.
Cool.
Looks good.
Ooh, thank you. I like
Looks
it.
good. Okay, so that's an important thing for everybody to remember is that if you're favoring rehabilitative justice, you are making ownership claims about other people's lives and bodies and such. And additionally, you're measuring on a metric that we can't ever universally agree about whether it's just or not. So it's like we can reach agreement about what's just, and if we're talking about retribution and remittance, but we can't if we're talking about rehabilitation because we have different understandings of what justice is in that regard.
True.
Obviously, if somebody is going to be successfully rehabilitated, that means they're not going to commit the same crime again, presumably.
I'm pretty sure what the yelling was. It was Pete the Peacock that you heard. I fed him earlier this morning, and he has not left our backyard at all.
He's been a very pushy Pete.
Yeah, he is being a very pushy Pete, but it's like I believe he's an ISFJ. That's what Eric has thought in the past, but I honestly
About who?
the peacock.
Oh, the peacock. I don't know what type he is. ISFJ sounds about right.
Yeah, he thinks ISFJ. I agree, because like he's being very stubborn right now.
He's not super extroverted. He'd do better with the peahen.
Yeah.
You know?
Sean Ryan Barron wants to see. I think he's like in the yard right now.
Pete? I'll
Yeah.
go look see if he's still back there. I haven't heard him for about maybe an hour or so. He probably left, but he's in pig towel. Peacock's going the wrong way. He self-identifies as an incel, actually.
We did see him with a peahen and a little chickie.
That was after my motivational talk.
So I'd like to think that they are his, that he successfully made a pea chickie. Yeah, I believe he has a family.
Thing is, peacocks are not the kind of birds where they have a couple. There are a lot of kind of birds that have couples, but peacocks are not among them.
No, they're not. The kitty cat, last I saw, she was in her little shady / sunny spot in the corner of the stairs and bush outside. She could have moved, but I'm not sure. She looked very relaxed. I took a picture and I posted on Tumblr.
There he is. All right, Peter. All right. What do you want? You want some cat food?
What else do we have?
We have party snack stuff mix.
Whatever. At this point.
No. Okay, well, let's wrap this up.
We need to get more coffee creamer, I believe.
Yep, we need to get coffee creamer. We need to get propane.
Yeah.
We need to get cigarettes.
This is how we go about our day. It's a peacock, yes, Miriam W. In Arcadia, they are known for their local peacocks. Before that, I had only seen one in a zoo. I didn't realize that there would be a place that I would live in where peacocks are native.
They are the descendants of Lucky Baldwin's flock.
Yeah, Lucky Baldwin was a person who had a lot of money and had an arboretum. And in the arboretum had exotic animals. Peacocks was one of them. And therefore they mated and took over the area pretty much.
And where our house is right now, it used to be part of his large ranch-style estate, which included a lake with a fancy-looking house on the side of it. And you can see that lake and that house in the
Yeah.
beginning of Fantasy Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they use that lake and the house in the Arboretum
Oh.
for the beginning of Fantasy Island.
Oh my gosh. Can we see that when you're done?
Yeah, sure.
You clip on YouTube?
Mhm.
they're beautiful. They really are like all over the place, and they do say if you feed them, they keep coming back around. But Pete is so sweet. He's a beautiful peacock too. Really, he just doesn't really have it much with the girls. And actually, we do have parrots that come around here too. Miriam W. Another kind of thing where people had pets and released them and they made it a lot. So finches as well. I haven't heard many finches lately or seen them for that matter. But yeah, there's a lot of birds in this area. It's pretty. Eric is very good at typing. And they do have a nice sound.
All right. So yeah, there's a lot of birds around here, for sure.
Yeah, one of my favorites is the California blue jay. They're very, very blue, and it's fun seeing them.
And one of the things I really don't like at all is when Pee-Pee gets a bird. I'd much rather she get rabbits. If she just got rabbits every time, I'd be like,
Why?
okay. Well, because
you didn't see it. It was very, very. I mean,
because there's
I
many.
was never going to. Well, that's true.
And there's so many rabbits,
That's
right?
true.
And it's like if he gets a bird, it's like, okay, is that how there are those two woodpeckers right there, right? That hang out around here.
I know.
So I don't like to think about our woodpeckers getting their baby taken.
I don't. I know. I saw it. I saw it for myself already, and then I tell her, I'm like, you gotta kill it, Pee-Pee. I'm like, you can't just let it like flop around. You gotta kill it if you're gonna catch it. And she was too scared to kill it. I'm like, Pee-Pee, what you doing to me?
No, she's bringing it to you so that you get the enjoyment of killing it. You can kill it. I love you, Rachel, so you can kill it. It's my treat to you. My present to you is a killing opportunity.
Oh my gosh. And the bunny, he looked really dead. They played dead very well. Yay.
Let me hit this and let's see. Okay. That is obviously not the Arboretum.
Yeah.
That must be Hawaii or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But when the plane lands and Tattoo says the plane.
I know exactly. Yeah, I've seen Fantasy Island a few times. My parents used to watch it.
Well, this is something that I remember watching when I went, especially when I went to my friend Kelly's house. That's that thing.
Oh my
That's
gosh! Yes, I remember.
the Queen's Anne Cottage is called.
Yes.
Ah, yes. I am Ricardo Montalban. The plane. That's the Arboretum. With Hervé Villechaize as Tattoo.
Oh wow.
Whatever happened to Hervé Villechaize? All right. Servant chicks, go run over there. Ah, beautiful day on Fantasy Island, Tattoo. Come, let us greet our guests. Oh, I don't know, boss. Oh, what's the problem, Tattoo? I'm such a short little guy. That's the problem. Nobody takes me seriously. I can see how that would be a problem, Tattoo. Okay. Oh, I wonder what's in that package. It says Fantasy Island on it. Is that how you send mail to Fantasy Island? Like, there's no postage. It's just... all it says is like, his name, Fantasy Island, whatever the guy's name is.
It's funny.
What's that guy's name in the show? Do you
I
remember?
don't know. No, I've only seen it maybe like a handful of times.
All right, let's call it Call it a strange show.
Yeah. Thank you for showing me that.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Bye.
Don't forget to
Eat
eat plenty of cheese.